Alright, so are you guys listening?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't matter, because to most people your opinions don't matter. And tonight I'm actually going to talk to you a little bit about the idea of effective listening and active listening within educational and business training. So the big idea behind it, and we're learning it in our classwork with the Communication Matters textbook, that most people hear, but they're not actively listening. So the big idea behind this is that students are sitting through lectures, but not taking in any of the information. They're physically present, but are they actually there, mentally? Are they actually learning? Are they taking it in? People go to work every day and they sit through board meetings and their bosses talk to them about new innovative ideas that the company's trying to roll out. Well, most people are just used to business as normal. They don't accept change. The words go right in and then right back out. So we're going to talk about it a little bit, but starting off we need to talk about kind of where this basis comes from. And society plays a huge role in how we listen. As you can see on some of the pictures, politics is a very controversial, it's a very polarizing area. And in the book, Republicans and Democrats, Making Them Both American, by Mickey Edwards, who is a retired senator, he actually talked about his time in government and how it rewarded him for not taking action, for not listening to those on the other side of the aisle that were trying to talk to him and exchange ideas. It rewarded that kind of behavior. And a lot of times that travels down the tree, so to say, from government, smaller government, even to people's households and communities. You see it a lot of times. Your neighbor has a different viewpoint from you, and a lot of times you won't even listen to how they view the world. A lot of times you're grounded in what you think is right. So how do we get past this? How do we start fixing some of these problems within society? Well, it starts at an individual level, because if you can't change the way you think, if you can't work on yourself actively listening, why is anybody else going to do it? The quote that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, that's for a reason. We're supposed to take in twice as much as we put out, but a lot of times people don't think about it that way. The biggest communication problem is we do not listen to understand, we listen to reply. The idea that we are not actively listening, but just listening enough that we can get our opinion out there. That's why in the beginning I said your opinion doesn't matter, because the person who you may be speaking with may not care about what you're actually saying. They just wait to dump their opinion on you. So as an individual, we need to build that, so that way we can then move into group settings and we can start to affect a group setting as well. In books with leadership approaches, the best leaders are typically those who say the least but listen the best. The people that can listen to all of the individuals within a group, see how things work effectively, what's the best approach for certain people to do, and how you can utilize everybody in your team to effectively accomplish a goal. And active listening is not only good for the leader, but also for every single individual. So once you get your individual basis down of active listening, you can then start to pass it down through those that you work with, or even pass that upwards with those who actually oversee your department or whatever you do within the business sector. So we talked a little bit about business there, but we do need to start implementing this much more in education, because if you're putting students through a system that they don't care about or are not actively engaged in, they then move into the business spectrum of their life when they're older, and they carry the same bad listening habits that they've developed as children. It doesn't really work out well. So when students are young, they need to actively be brought into an environment where they're constantly being challenged in a constructive and fun way, because kids respond the best when they're having fun learning things that they care about. So curriculum needs to change. It needs to happen at an early age, and it needs to continue. throughout life. And then, as we get into the business and, they move down their career paths and things like that, they then need to actually have trainings on it within the business sectors as well. So it not only begins early on with education, but it continues on later down in life. When you're older, you may even have your own family, you have your own business, things like that. So just to kind of wrap this up a little bit, we've talked about how everybody has their own opinion. It matters to you, but if the person that you're speaking with isn't listening, or if you're not really listening to the person that's talking to you, their opinion is then moot. It doesn't matter because you're not giving them the proper listening, the attentiveness, the understanding of where they're coming from. And as a society, we need to kind of work backwards and sit down and actually listen. Because if we can start listening to people, we can then make sure that we understand where they're coming from. And then that two-way communication becomes that much stronger and that much better because we know what they said and we know how to communicate to them and know that they, in turn, will then listen to us. Thank you.
Oh, very good.